I'm ready to slash and burn.
No quarter. I am going to be uncomfortable and all over you from start to finish.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to what is sadly probably going to be the final episode of BattleBots Breakdown for 2023, which, unless BattleBots has some secret content that they've stashed away somewhere and going to show later, later on, this is probably going to be it for this year until there's new BattleBots to talk about. But I'm excited to have Ashley here. I hope that you all had a good holiday weekend. And yeah, it's that season. So we got a little bit of a treat here with 10 matches that nobody had seen except for me because I was there.
And the crowd.
But I know Ashley and I were just commenting on the first match. Jake, why you gotta be so mean to Rusty, man?
Rusty.
So Hydra versus Rusty. I will say I really, really loved the fact that Rusty had a sword and a chainsaw, because that's what you come at Hydra with. That's the secret. You have to come at Hydra with a sword and a chainsaw to cut off all them heads. But, unfortunately, the chainsaw didn't last very long. And there were a lot of flips that happened. And, Rusty tried real hard. But it just, Hydra was a little bit too much for Rusty.
Yeah, it's just so sad when his hat gets all bent out of shape and you're just like, oh man, poor Rusty. But I will say, the fun thing about watching this on YouTube was all the little things they were adding in. So it was 1.5 meters. And you're like, oh, okay. That's hilarious, because you always wonder, how far are these people really flipping? And then it's oh, into the camera. And it's breaking shatter. And okay, you guys are funny. This is funny. But why are you being mean to Rusty? Justice for Rusty.
Justice for Rusty.
It was just so fun. Of course, nobody ever wants to see, I'm sure everybody wants to see Rusty get thrown around, right? That's kind of the point. That's our heart and soul, and we love that in the box. But at the same time, come on. But this was such a fun match for this whole little mini episode to kick off with. It was just fun to watch, and you just love both of those people. And even though, Rusty got upset and hurt and whatever, it was still fun to watch. And it's Rusty. We all love Rusty. So getting a chance to see Rusty fight is just happy for everyone.
Exactly. Well, it was really a victory, because we talk a lot about this at the, lower levels, that sometimes just having a robot work and get out there in the box and move around and do its thing, that's a win. And I think for Dave this season, after, not really being able to get it together to do a lot of the exhibition fights and get to have a match, I think that's fun. And it's great that he was able to make it work enough to, get flipped by Hydra a couple of times and still be moving around a little bit, so to me, that's a win in my book.
Yeah, absolutely. When I was back in the pits at BattleBots, I ran into Dave, and he was frantically moving around, and he was I really don't have time to talk. I'm trying to get Rusty so it can get in the box, and he hadn't been in the box yet. And so you're right, to see it in the box, it's yes, that's a win in itself. And no matter what, how much or how little we see Rusty, the crowd loves Rusty. And when it flipped back over onto its feet and it kept going, you could hear how loud it was just from the YouTube recording. So I can only imagine what it sounded like in the actual arena in that moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so Rusty, hopefully you get yourself patched up and come back, because we all love Rusty. I should have brought my plush over here and just, but yeah, so we had that fight, and we went into what for me should have been the main event and was one of my favorite fights when I was there. Like, I don't know how I still had a voice after that fight, which was Mammoth versus Terrortops. So a big whole part of the thing with Terrortops for me is that before filming even happened and Ben rolled out this design and stuff, so many people made comments, you know, saying that it wouldn't work, you know, it wouldn't be super effective, like, you know, really not saying some nice things about it. And I'm like, no, this is great. It's like the baby of Witch Doctor and Whiplash. Like, how is this not great? And you know, to see it take on a robot like Mammoth, which is very difficult to fight, and not only like slice it up just in general, lift it over its head, and then proceed to slice through that back bar, which I don't think I have ever seen done to Mammoth ever, was just insane. Like, my Jurassic Park loving heart was so happy. And I am telling you, Terrortops is going to be a robot to watch next season. Like, I am so psyched about it.
Yeah, absolutely. This match was so incredible for so many reasons. Like, I love Mammoth. I love Team Mammoth, right? Like, the people that are on it. And to see Cody and Ricky line up Mammoth to deliver those shots and just clean the ribs off of Terrortops was absolutely incredible, because that's something that they've been working so hard on. Like, but then to see Terrortops deliver so much damage was absolutely mind-blowing. I mean, I saw Brandon in the chat say this was the time, like, we leave it all out on the battle box, and like they literally both left it all in the battle box. Like, there were pieces of robots, both of them, everywhere. It was absolutely insane. But the fact that it went the full 3 minutes, like, was just the whole time I was like, I don't know how to feel, because I love both of these like designs and these robots and these like teams, and like, you love to see newbies doing well, like, because I know what it's like to be a newbie and not do well and not get those like positive things said about you. But then, like, it's like Mammoth is like, that's what they've been working for. Like, that's how that robot's supposed to run. And like, he got himself into a corner and he was able to get himself out, and he stayed maneuvering until the very, very, very end. And it was just like the culmination of everything that they had all been working for. And it was just the perfect 3 minutes. Like, it was fantastic. I loved it.
Absolutely. And I think, honestly, that's what's great about these fights, is that there's no stakes, you know, really on the line. Like, you're not trying to win a giant nut or a golden bolt or anything. It's just, it gave teams an opportunity to be creative and really just go for it in situations where I think if this was like a tournament, they might be a little bit more restrained or not go for it, but they just freaking went for it. And I love that.
Yeah, to have Mammoth, like, one side of the weapon just be completely down, but then just like have Cody and Ricky just be like, yep, okay, well, there's still a hit and it's still kind of moving and taking things off, so why not? Like, let's just keep going. If it's still spinning, like, we're still firing, so let's just leave it all out there.
Yes, 100%. And so moving on from that, the next fight I loved for so many reasons. Gruff versus Slammo. So I am telling you right now, if anyone from Team Gruff is listening, put a hammer on that thing. Like, do that always. Put a hammer on that thing. And there's a lot of reasons why I want that. I mean, I've talked about making a hammer flamethrower bot myself. I love the idea, and seeing it like in action and stuff, I'm like, yes, that is what you need to do, Gruff. Do it. But also Slammo, you know, like, it's just, Craig tries so hard, and the fact that Slammo just kept in it and kept moving after taking so many hammer strikes, like, it just got hit so many times. I will say the one thing in that match, because you mentioned the screen graphics, there were some that I liked more than others. I think the flames in that match was a little bit over the top. The glass breaking, I think, was a little bit more fun, but the flames a little bit over the top. But the other thing that you'll, if you watch this, you'll see is I like when they show when someone's weapon is disabled. I like that little graphic because for a lot of casual fans that, don't necessarily like know some things about the function, that's really helpful to like understand when the match is decided at the end and the judges are deciding. You're like, oh, okay, I see exactly when this weapon was out of commission. So I really love that. I actually hope BattleBots keeps that for like future stuff because I find it really helpful. But yeah, I mean, it was fun to see Gruff and Slammo go at it. I am really excited about a lot of the changes that I've seen to Slammo that Craig's been doing for the future. But really, all in all, a good match.
Yeah, absolutely. This one was super fun. Anytime I get to see Craig in the box, it always makes me happy. I'm one of his biggest fans and he knows it. So I love Slammo and it was so good to see it go for the full 3 minutes and like be able to maneuver out of the box and like really kind of zip around. And even though it took a ton of hits like to the beak and everything, like it still was able to kind of hold up, and he even got a good few moves and was able to push Gruff into the screws and stuff like that. And that's just like the good driving that Craig has managed to do, and that's why he can make control bots and still be effective. But to see Gruff with a hammer is fantastic. Like anytime anything like new and exciting kind of comes out, it's like, okay, like how's this gonna go? And then you're like, oh, that's really effective. And oh, he just like literally reached over Slammo and was like, hey buddy, like what's going on? So to be able to do that effectively and have a flamethrower still is like really cool. To be able to like kind of like dual weapons are hard. So the more people that are trying them and effectively making them work just makes fights way more exciting. And so like this one was just a fun one to watch for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really, I think maybe we've seen this before, but with the hammer kind of doing the move of using the hammer to pin the robot and then putting the flamethrower on to barbecue the robot. I think that's a really creative way of being a control bot in like a non-traditional way, like using your weapon to do that. I thought was really interesting to see. So, speaking of weapons, or unfortunately lack of weapon, the next match was Death Roll versus Rotator. And really the main note that I made in this match is that unfortunately when Death Roll has no weapon, it's kind of a sitting gator. So, I mean, that's its main power, right? Like it does all the damage with the weapon. I think the team has, pretty much like said, like that's Death Roll's whole thing. And it's effective when it's working, like really effective. Obviously, I love that robot. But without it, Rotator, I mean, it looked really good. And Victor just kind of did his thing.
Yeah, he definitely did his thing. When the weapon goes down 15 seconds into the match, you're like, all right, well, now how's this going to go? And like, especially when it's a weapon as large as the Death Rolls, because it is the most effective part of the robot. And like, yes, they could still drive around and move kind of out of the way. Rotator has just like, because of the forks on the one side and he's the ability to kind of swing around. And we saw Victor like towards the end pin him up against the wall, get the forks underneath, get him just enough up there that he could swing around, and then kill shot, just like that. Robot done, count out, like match is over. And so there were like some issues with Rotator, and then we saw Rotator be strong. So it was cool to kind of see them finish their robot season on a high note and be able to get that solid knockout. But at the same time, like, I really wonder what would have happened if Death Roll's weapon stayed on, because that would have been just like a scary fight. So it stinks to kind of see him go out that way, but love that team, love that robot, and super excited to hopefully see them come back soon.
Yes, I hope so. I've said it again and again. Please bring Death Roll back.
Please. We love you.
Yes. So then we moved on to Double Tap versus Quantum. And I was so excited for this because I think we really got to see Quantum in all of its glory. Super kudos to Double Tap because Quantum put so many holes in that thing that I don't know how it was still moving like at all for as long as it did. There were so many bites. I mean, Quantum, I thought that we were seeing like the robot version of Twilight or something because there was so much biting going on. And yeah, I mean, like it doesn't help that Double Tap is very the shape is very biteable for Quantum. What I will say is I loved Quantum going for the blade. Like it was going for Double Tap's weapon blade, and I'm like, come on. So it was very entertaining for me.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing I wrote down like was just like the word incredible. Like Quantum just looked incredible this whole match. Like I will say I liked the whole like UFO looking like look that Double Tap came out. I was like, what the heck with those green lights and everything? I was like, oh, that's fun. But Quantum just stayed right up in Double Tap's business and did not let them get any opportunity to spin up that weapon. They did not care. Those teeth were sinking into every possible corner and like place that they could fit. It did not matter. That robot is so incredible. It has so much power, and like to be able to just see it effectively go in and out of that robot, like it was no big deal. Like it didn't get stuck. Like you have to imagine how sharp those pieces of metal have to be able to go in, sink into the robot, and then cleanly pull themselves out, and be able to do that multiple times. And like the fact that they didn't hit a battery is absolutely mind-blowing to me. And I'm not really sure how, but like good on Double Tap for protecting your batteries, knowing what you're going into against Quantum. But this was just a show of why Quantum is the fascinating and incredible like machine that it is, and I just love to see it on display.
Yes, I was really expecting a lipo fire. I don't know how that did.
Literally don't know how it didn't happen. Hey, that's fantastic.
I'm like, any minute now, the next bite, it's gonna happen, and it.
I do wonder if there were some puffy batteries after that match, regardless.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think it gives a lot of hope for Quantum next season, honestly. I mean, I think it has the capacity to come back and just do phenomenal things, but yeah, little biased. So the next fight is Lucky versus Beta. And I really have to say that I love that Lucky just went for it. Like that hammer of Beta's is really scary, especially on a flipper, because if it hits the wrong spot, then your flipper is just not gonna work. And they just really kept at it. I don't really think they gave Beta too much room to do a lot. And I mean, I loved it. It was just a good, clean match.
Yeah, absolutely. It looked like Lucky came out with a little bit of extra top armor, so they were definitely prepared, but they didn't need it. Matt got right up in Beta's face and was just like, nope, little quick jabs. Here I am. I'm just going to beat you up, and I'm going to flip you around a little bit. And like, yep, okay, you're back on your feet, but I'm not going to give you any room. So here I come again. And it was just such like a good show of Matt's driving and like just how good he's actually gotten. And it's so incredible to see. And like, when you can just put your competitor up on a wall and just say, have a nice day, like, here's the upper deck in a really odd spot that you're definitely not going to be able to get out of. Like, that is just such a testament to like how good of a driver and how much control that Matt has behind the sticks. And like, I absolutely love Lucky, of course, like they're one of my favorites. So to see them be able to come out and do like the amazing things that they were able to do in this match was awesome. It really kind of stinks to see Beta never really get up and get those hammer spots in, but Matt had him flipped over really, really quickly. But just a fun match with like a little bit more back and forth would have been cool, but at the same time, like I was all for Lucky just taking the win.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think that it's a really good showing because with, the talk of, most likely Hydra seemingly probably not coming back. You know, Lucky may be poised to be the #1 flipper if that happens. And I just love to see like the growth and development of that robot.
Yeah, I just love that whole team. So I'm super always excited to see Lucky come back. I love running into them at all the different events and stuff. So I'm ready. I'm always here for Lucky.
Yes, absolutely. So the next fight, which I so bad, like, it was just a very, very unfortunate set of circumstances in that match. Because Kraken got stuck in like an impossible to remove position very early on. And that was like, I'm like, this is going to be so great. I'm like so hyped for this. Yeah. And I think, you know, if that doesn't happen, then I'm sure that we get like just a wildly entertaining fight, and it's just unfortunate that it happened the way that it did. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot that did happen prior to that, so there's not a lot to say other than the fact that like I think this was the match that Kraken and Scorpios had changed outfits. And that like, they didn't show it, like you couldn't see it on the screen, but they had changed and dressed up as each other. And that was honestly probably the best part of the entire thing is seeing them dressed up as each other. So
oh man, I wish they showed that.
I know, why you have robbed us.
Well, it was funny because every time they were like next match, I was like looking at like who the people were standing in the box, and it was Shredderator and Huge every single time, and I was like, why is Jonathan Schultz keep popping up on my screen? I'm like, okay, so yeah, nope, definitely didn't see the outfits. Now I'm gonna go back and like stare at the other way in the box to see if I can catch it. But definitely an unfortunate turn of events like right off the bat. And like I do wonder, because Kraken seemed to have closed and then Scorpio drove them into the screws and they just like opened and kind of ate the screw for lunch. Like I wonder if they had kept their mouth open, if they had bounced back differently or something like that. But yeah, just a totally like unfortunate way to kind of see this match go down, because I was super hyped for it. So yeah, I mean, like, good on Scorpios for delivering like a crazy shot right off the bat, but like I was ready to see these two huge weapons like go at each other for a few minutes.
Yeah, it would have been great. The people demand a rematch in the future. Yes,
we do. We need another one.
But yeah. So that not too much to talk about there, unfortunately. But then moving on to Chainsaw Fight, which is one of the most insane things that I think that I've ever seen with BattleBots. I was there for that one, and you know, as they were bringing, you know, the robots out, I'm like, okay, yeah, Doomba has a chainsaw, whatever, like they normally have a chainsaw. But then I saw Overhaul had a chainsaw, and I'm like, what is happening right now? So they both have chainsaws. I mean, like, I don't, there aren't words when you see something like that. But the one thing that I will say is that the highlight of that match for me was definitely Overhaul lifting Doomba up in the air. It was just like an insane image to watch. You know, and then the mini bots in there. I mean, like there was so much stuff going on, and it's something that you would never see during the regular season. Nobody's going to put a chainsaw on their robot in normal matches, probably. But yeah, it was just, you know, I thought it was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, it was definitely hilarious. I will say that for the people that are going to run chainsaws though, figure out a way to protect the chain and keep it on the chainsaw so that the chainsaw can actually be used. Like, please make my dreams come true and use the chainsaw more than once before the chain falls off. But hats off to you guys for having a ton of fun and just like bringing the joy of what is combat robotics like to the screen for a few minutes. Like, the mini bots are hilarious. That whole team does the whole like the robot suck thing at Motorama with all of the like Doomba and Roomba inspired things. And so like there's just like a lot of fun things that come out of that. And just to see it against like overhaul was just fantastic. And like, good on Charles for just being like, all right, I'm going to join in on the fun too and like have a little bit of crazies. Like, I don't know where they got all these chainsaws from, but like the fact that Rusty had one, Overhaul had one, like somebody's out there making mini chainsaws for robots, and it's fantastic because I love to see it. So yeah, just a ton of fun, like a whole 3 minutes of just nonsense that just reminds us like we can always have fun in this. It doesn't always have to be competitive.
Yes, exactly. I really, I would love to see like an event that's just silliness.
Yes.
Like no prize, nothing. You just come with a robot and be silly, and like that's it. There's no winning anything. It's just about the fun. I think that there's a lot of people that would be totally down for that. But yeah, so that's something out there to think of. But the next match after that was Malice versus Shredderator, and it was another one of those where like the weapon kind of goes out pretty early on one of the robots, and it's, you know, a lot of just Malice hitting Shredderator as much as possible. I mean, it's a good opportunity to test the weapon, for sure. And Malice certainly packs a big punch there, as you can see from that first hit. And then all of a sudden, Shredderator wasn't spinning anymore. So, yeah, I mean, I thought it was definitely, it was fun in the sense of getting to see Malice just kind of like go at someone, like not having any restriction or anything like that. And you know, I really think that Malice has shown this season that horizontals are not dead. And I think it's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you can deliver a shot like that right out of the beginning and kind of kill a robot's like whole spinning mechanism is pretty impressive. And like she runs huge weapons on her robots, and so it was just like, okay, like it's kind of like batting practice. Like this robot's here, he's in the cage, like I'm gonna see what happens if I continually hit him time and time again. And because he's not going that fast, like I shouldn't take too much damage, so let's just kind of see what happens. At one point though, I was definitely like kind of hoping, I'm like, just drive right over it. Like, just send Mal, like, send them, like, full send. Come on, do it. Right up. But it never happened. But it's okay. I totally understand why you wouldn't want to send your own robot across the box. But I do think it would have been fun. I mean, that's just my opinion. But yeah, Malice definitely has proven its durability this year. And so I think that there's a lot of, like, good things that are going to come out of that team, not to mention the fact that they picked up my favorite human on earth. But yeah, I'm excited to see like what Malice can do next.
Yeah, absolutely. And then what they considered the main event, which certainly was a really great fight, was Bloodsport versus Big Dill. And like my remarks on the whole thing was that after one of the forks got removed, Big Dill was like a mighty green unicorn, charging across the box at every opportunity. And they absolutely deserve to win that fight. I mean, Bloodsport put up a good fight, but that's why, like, this season, again, for me, was so defining for so many robots, of seeing the progress and seeing it come along. And Big Dill, you know, maybe in the past people kind of overlooked that team, because there's so many other robots that have more destructive weapons and things like that. But it is such a good robot. It really has so much potential and upside. And I think that match really showed it, to go up against a robot like Bloodsport, which is absolutely deadly, and come out, you know, on top after having essentially your lifter partially disassembled was great. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, I loved this. I'm a huge Big Dill fan, so like I was super excited to be able to see them. In the beginning, I was obviously super worried because when the whole vert attachment went flying across the box, I was like, oh, that can't be good. But at the same time, here comes Emmanuel, who never gives up, with Ellis standing right by his side in that mini bot and saying, we're gonna just keep going. And they kept going and they kept going and they kept going into Bloodsport, and Bloodsport's weapon died. And then Bloodsport started a fire. And you were like, okay, yep, nope, Big Deal is just as durable as it always has been. It's going to continue no matter what shape it's in. It's going to continue to try to like get into its opponent and deliver like those shots. And the way that they're able to deliver those shots and get them into the like just certain spaces and everything is just such a testament of like how amazing like that. There's so many like knowledgeable and incredible people on the Big Deal team, and I don't think that they get talked about enough between Emmanuel, Ellis, Andy, and everybody else, like because they're from across the pond, we don't get to see them as much, but what they're doing over there is absolutely mind-blowing and incredible. And I loved this match, and I am so excited that at the end of the day Big Deal won, because it was just so awesome to see, even after you lose an entire weapon and half of a fork, like you're still out there taking damage and taking hits and delivering power. And like there's a lot to be said about that. So this match for me was just fantastic. Like it was awesome.
Yes. I think that this episode in general, to me, I think should give people a lot to think about for next season. Because there were definitely some robots kind of showing off some things that, you know, may lead to potential for next season. So yeah, I mean, we'll see whenever that is, you know, whenever season 8 happens. But yeah, I mean, I thought this was a nice little way to kind of cap things off and show some of the fights that we didn't get to see. And I mean, some of these were so good that I'm glad that people got the opportunity to see them and they just didn't fall by the wayside. So lots to look forward to. I mean, I'm sure that you're excited, Ashley, for the season 8, as I mean, well, as everybody knows by now, Ashley being a member of Team Magnitude who is hoping to get on for season 8 of BattleBots. So exciting stuff.
Yeah, definitely a lot of exciting things to come. I mean, we are heading out to Proving Grounds in just like a couple weeks, which is absolutely terrifying to think about. But I will be in Norwalk at All-Stars. So half the team will be in Norwalk, half the team will be in Vegas. But we are super excited to get out there and see kind of like what we can do. And I have all the faith in the world in Chad and the team that they have out there building the heavy right now. So I'm excited for next season. I'm excited to hear about next season. Like I'm just ready for more information to kind of see what's next. And there's definitely a lot of things that have happened like in the off season with new robots and everything. And so it's really exciting, and I'm really, really looking forward to seeing what's next for sure.
Yes, absolutely. Ashley is getting to live her BattleBots dreams, and I could not be more proud. So it's my weekly time to try and make Ashley cry.
Woo, I did good.
But for everyone that's watching, you know, hopefully we'll have more BattleBots recaps. I'm sure Ashley and I will be doing other content, as there's always going to be robot stuff going on. It just won't be BattleBots Breakdown. But we'll still be here. And so look forward to whenever that next time is. And
we still have to give away all the Boxy
awards. We still have to give away the Boxy Awards. So people stay tuned, because that is also coming, and we're so excited about it. So but we'll keep watching, like, subscribe, all of those good things. We're getting very close to 700 subscribers, which is exciting. So keep getting the word out, and we'll see everybody next time on the show.